After their mostly silent little feast, Colette assiduously cleaned up the steps, sweeping away the crumbs that were too small for even Remy to consider, and put away her stove. She made little wickery wick noises as she adjusted the leather straps on her bag and put on her helmet. Remy watched her do all this with folded paws, feeling a little lost and lonely. He gave her a wave goodbye and tried not to look upset. Colette seemed to notice his mood. "You sleep here, right?" she asked, trying to be polite. "Here, in the alley, with the garbage cans?" Remy just nodded, knowing his squeaks would never be understood. He shrugged. She looked around. "With all of your little ratty friends?" He shook his head sadly. He hoped she understood. "No friends, no family. You're not from here, are you? Not from Paris?" He shook his head more energetically. Maybe she could understand a little. "Are you from some kind of lab where they make smart rats and train them to cook or something?" He gave her a look, but it was obvious even as she spoke that she realized how ridiculous she sounded. "But you are an amazing little chef," she insisted, getting down on one knee to get closer to his eye level. He appreciated that. "You must have had some sort of training, right? Maybe you were the pet of, you lived with someone who could really cook, and they taught you?" Remy spread his paws helplessly. How could he explain it to her? He had learned from his nose, and the television at the old woman's house, and the book, and his own trial and error. There was no way to make her understand that, so he just shook his head helplessly. There was an awkward silence. The human looked around, perhaps searching for something to say, but the only obvious thing was the dark, cold night. This tiny part of Paris was quiet and lonely at these hours, and honestly, it smelled pretty bad, even to a rat who used to eat garbage with his family. "Okay, well, why don't you come with me?" she finally said. "It's probably safer for a strange little rat like you anyway." She put out her hand. Remy immediately ran up her arm, joyful and grateful. She carefully put him into her pocket, where he could be safe and warm and still look out. Together they rode off into the most beautiful night of all, lights and stars and speed all around.